beers, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. And we missed you at the beginning of last week. It is fairly early on the American side of town and the world, I guess. But, Josh, what are you drinking? A little bit of coffee, a little bit of rum?
I got that hot brown, just straight brown, buddy. No creams, no liqueurs.
We're doing Brewdog Planet Pale Ale today on this side of the world. It's almost, it's pre-dinner, dinner time, I guess, over here. So we missed last week, but we were still able to get our Oscar preview out. How you guys feeling as we recorded that a while back? How you feeling about your predictions moving into Sunday, moving into tomorrow?
I feel confident. I don't know. Do we care about the Academy still? Edit that out. Who cares?
I think it's fun. I think it gives us an opportunity to see films we wouldn't otherwise watch because they're not widely regarded as must go to the movie theater films, but they're really good movies.
Yeah. I guess the big picks are very subjective and blah blah blah, and they don't necessarily always mess up. They usually get pretty close to right. But it is good. It would behoove anyone to look at the small awards and then see who had the best choreography and stuff like that. Like, those are the movies you need to look out for.
I'm upset that the Iron Claw had made no categories at all. That is a huge snub. And, don't talk about Will Smith's wife this year. I hope everybody learned that lesson.
Well, I gotta say, Jordan, you're not alone in the Iron Claw analysis. Everywhere I've read, lots of people are like, look, it wasn't gonna win, but the movie was deserving of nomination. Like some of the stuff the actors put their bodies through, the actual performances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, would you count that towards costumes? The actors, like in 300, that probably got best costume, right? Because everyone had abs.
I don't know if it got best costume. That would be what would be best makeup and hair design would be what that would be.
Yeah, okay.
Who's like
design.
an actor notorious for putting their body through hell for roles like Christian Bale?
Christian Bale, 100%.
He would have a bunch of Oscars.
I think Matthew McConaughey for Dallas Buyers Club got a disease.
Yeah. Well, he got permanent facial dystrophy. Yeah. Like, he doesn't look the same way he used to anymore.
So that was kind of wild. So a couple people have just gone next level with it. But for me, I do still kind of rely on it to see films I wouldn't otherwise see. And that's the biggest thing for me. Like, you guys forget, like, I think Jordan forgot, I actually reviewed American Fiction on here. I went to the theater and saw it. I went and watched that one. I thought it was great. I thought it was phenomenal, well-deserving of the nomination. And then, obviously, Josh brought up I saw Past Lives. And there was another one that Jordan was like, I don't know where we'd see this. I was like, I saw it. I literally reviewed it on the show. And I can't remember what movie it was at this point. But
Jordan doesn't watch the show, or he doesn't really listen to us. He just wants to say his movies because that's the kind of person he is.
This is what I'm watching. I know this is what everybody's. Holdovers was the other one.
Back to Scrabble.
Yes.
These
are the good movies.
I reviewed the Holdovers on here, and I gave it a pop 3. Holdovers was great. It was very funny. Same with American Fiction, and I'm glad that movies with more humor are getting nominated. Like, I don't want to have to cry to see a movie get an award. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't always have to be a tearjerker. It can be funny.
I was just doing a little bit of that for entertainment purposes. I've heard of a lot of these movies. I'm aware of where to find them.
Jazz hands.
I, like you said, how you use it as what to watch.
Yeah.
I am a little bit of a cheater on the opposite end of the spectrum. I use it when the movies win, and I'm like, I haven't watched that. Then I'll go and watch it if it wins.
Gotcha.
I'll be like, okay.
If it wins.
Yeah.
That's actually what happened with me with Coda. To be honest, I had no interest in seeing Coda at all, and I honestly don't know that Coda should have won. I know it's big for the adult sign language community, but
Nomadland.
Nomadland, I guess. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's get into our butter on top for this and last week. I didn't see this week's butter on top. I just ran out of time. I tried my best, but I had to catch up on a lot of things. So why don't you guys start with Ricky Stenicki?
Yeah, on Amazon Prime. starring Zac Efron, coming off of the Iron Claw, still looking very
steroid puffy,
a little brolic and a little stiff. Yeah. And who else is in this? John Cena, who absolutely carried this movie in a movie that did have some good, some witty guys, some comedy faces, albeit relatively newcomers. What's the guy's name? The red-haired comedian? Andrew Santino, yeah. Yes, who is a really funny guy. Yeah, and then Jermaine Fowler, who kind of took on the more dramatic, serious side of things, but he did kind of play like the imbecile, but also just the serious imbecile, I guess, at times. This movie is about the lengths that guys will go to for whatever kind of dumb crap that guys are always up to in life and relationships and just with their bros. It's like there's no reason. Yeah, there's no reason for just any of it. Like, just be straight up, like, hey, I need a trip with the boys. Oh, you're not cool with it? All right, maybe we'll try again some other time. You know what I mean? Just come on, just be truthful.
Yeah.
I love that Mark Rebier just gets these cameos in comedy movies like all the time now. He's just a staple in bro comedies.
Yep.
Now,
Mark Rebier, it was nice to see that. Shout out, yeah.
Yeah. The Loop, what do they call him? Loop Daddy?
Loop Daddy. If anyone has not seen Mark Rebier, just watch any of his videos. He does some really incredible stuff. He's a hero of mine.
Genius. The dialogue of this movie is just not clever. It's just dumb. Like, it's not funny, clever in any way. It's just like, private part jokes, poop jokes, blah, 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 dumb guys. Yeah, it's just really dumb. But just this is the John Cena show.
Why'd you make that voice? Why'd you make that voice?
Like,
like you had to get into character to explain what kind of jokes they were.
I mean, yeah.
Bro.
Yeah. John Cena carried this movie with his character playing a X-rated solo cover band guy who's all of his songs are in a theme of masturbation, and he dresses up in the costume.
Oh my gosh.
And that is just well worth the watch of this movie. Those little scenes where he does that.
It's one scene, but it goes long enough to where you get every bit that, I mean, he really doubles down in it. He really gets in there. He's singing well. He's in full costume, and the lyrics are so stupid.
I had people over my house decorating for a party last night while I was watching it, and they were all in different rooms kind of doing their own thing, and simultaneously everyone from all over the house, because I had this playing pretty loud, just were busting up laughing like, what are you watching? Hearing this going on in the background, and then suddenly everybody got drawn into the room and sat for the rest of the movie. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's got that draw power, just John Cena and that couple of those scenes there. It almost got a point deduction for a dog death. It might as well have been. It was pretty traumatic for me to watch. I hated it. I hated this happening in slow motion. I was like, no, stop. Yeah, it was bad. Air dicking. Air dicking. Content warning there. Air dicking has entered the ether of
it's in the zeitgeist, man.
Just public dialogue. Yeah, the zeitgeist.
Are you talking about like when we found out what Dutch ruddering was from Zack and Miri Make a Porno, like similar to that?
Yeah.
Oh, sort of. Yeah.
In that realm.
Yeah, it's a little more. I guess I'll say nuanced than that in this movie.
I wouldn't say it's a spoiler. Why don't you just tell him?
Yeah. So air dicking. So the boss is unaware that when this is the way they put it. When Obama gave speech, he would do the power knuckle when he make his point. Well, the boss, when he talks, he hits this one. We need to make this happen, and so John Cena brings it to his attention that he's air dicking too much. And that's just another moment where John Cena is carrying this movie with the dialogue, and there's just a couple of really, really funny moments that are gonna stick with you, and it's quotable. But this movie is a popcorn.
Okay, popcorn, Josh.
Yeah, I'd say it's a popcorn, and it was right there. It's cuspy with a popcorn in one. It missed some opportunities, but the opportunities that it hit, I mean, John Cena really did carry the movie. There's so many scenes that are just incredible, and then lines he delivers. There were other funny parts, but it had to be John Cena was the main. I feel like Zac Efron was kind of lost here, except for when he has this serious bit at the end and like everything comes together. I like that part. He delivered that well, but like he didn't deliver any funny aspect to anything. He was a little bit too straight of a straight man, you know?
Santino was the only character other than John Cena that seemed to fit and really be comfortable.
Is he
in
red
this
beard
role.
dude?
Yeah, red beard dude.
So
with Bobby Lee, bad friends. With from Dave. I think he wasn't given the. I think the writers lost a lot here because they had the tools. It's a popcorn. I did like it. I think Fry, it's up your alley. You're gonna at least call it a popcorn. It's, of course you can. Of course you would. But you're gonna like it just for that John Cena scene. Truly, I mean, to watch. No, because of course it has to be at least a popcorn, right? Anyway,
yeah, but it's funny because I don't know how you delivered just because it's the lowest rated, even if it was an insult, or as if it was an insult. Like, because of course you would.
You have to do at least a popcorn anyway. But just like we were talking about earlier, and then just the image of John Cena dressed up like "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time," Britney Spears, running down a hallway as fast as he can. And then vomiting. Oh my gosh, it's the best. It's the best. He did great. Popcorn.
That actually kind of your review of this reminds me of like what I thought of Blockers when I saw Blockers.
Similar vibe.
I thought John Cena carried Blockers. I thought like it was dumb. It was making me laugh. It was funny, but like it was funny because John Cena was making it funny repeatedly. So I don't think he gets enough credit. All right. Well, for me, I only saw The Butter on Top from last week, and I finally got to see it. It was just a really busy weekend last weekend. I saw DUNE2. This is a Pop 3 movie. I would agree with Dennis Villanueva in terms of he came out and said, hey, movies like this don't require great dialogue. The dialogue is simply there to move the story forward. That's the only device that the dialogue has in a film like this. A film
Star
like
Wars.
this needs to be visual. Yeah, a film like this needs to be visually stunning, which it is. It needs to have gravity in the scenes. You need to be able to put that into a picture as opposed to rely on the dialogue to give gravity to the situation, which I feel like they did. I think the journey of Paul Atreides is very interesting. And, of course, we lead to now the trilogy, the third movie, The Holy War, at the end of this one. It's weird for me. Here's a critique. It's on this Popcorn 3. It's hard for me to accept that we are now in a time where two scrawny-ass dudes hold the fate of the universe in their hands. Like, I'm sorry, you can do whatever you want with us, Austin Butler, to make him look ripped, but I'm looking at a dude that's 6'2", 125 pounds soaking wet. Like,
yeah, dude. Where's all the beef boys at?
I know he weighs more than 125 pounds, but I'm looking at him like, that dude is scrawny. Like, who's scared of that?
Yeah.
Why?
They got the psychological kung fu.
Yeah, they do. But then you find out, that maybe the Atreides have a little hidden psychological kung fu down the road. I'm not going to spoil it, but you find that out in the movie, that maybe Paul and his mother have a little bit of the psychological kung fu. There's a lot going on here, and you definitely have to pay attention. This is not a run pee movie. You get it all out of your bladder before you go, because if you go, it's like, oh, I think I can go here. You miss something. Like something's happening while you're in the restroom that you're going to miss, or you're going to want to hear, or you're going to want to rewind. You're going to hit the back 10 seconds. Yeah. The world is fantastic.
During the weird love scene.
Which one?
The one between Zendaya and Paul. There's only one, I think.
Where you have the very clearly Austin Butler's character gets the witch pregnant. Remember, what are you burying? A woman, just like you said, good mother. Because what's his weakness? His weakness.
Don't go during that one. The Paul and Zendaya one. Run and pee there.
Yeah. That makes no sense. That one.
Yes.
It's interesting because it looks like Zendaya will be the opposing force during the Civil War that opposes Atreides. Christopher Walken, though I love seeing him, probably not necessary in the movie as the Emperor or the Imperial leader, but it's great to see him. Welcome
Sandworms.
back. Florence Pugh is okay in it. I mean, she plays well. I think at the end of the day, it is what's that?
I didn't know she was in this.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
think at the end of the day, it is Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya's movie, right? Javier Bardem is great. He's fantastic, but he's in it sparingly. You know, they don't really heavily rely on him. It's really the story of Paul. But for me, again, visually stunning, great cinematic appeal, great choreography, hair and makeup's fantastic. You're gonna see a lot of stuff for this movie at next year's Oscars, even though it's coming out very, 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 very early for that. You're gonna see a ton of buzz around this simply for the cinematics, the hair and makeup, the set design next year. Pop 3. Go ahead, Jordan.
Dune 2. This is on the list, all-time list of the sequel being better than the first one.
Yeah.
For sure. Right off the bat. You know, we got the thing where, you know, the love interest, Zendaya, tantruming and stuff, because she would prefer that things stay the same and they just have each other instead of the character hero man going off and saving the universe. It's like, no, just be with me. Let's cuddle.
Don't save the universe. Cuddle with me. Come on.
I don't think it's
Come
that.
back to
I think
bed.
it's don't change the ways that we're used to, right? Like, don't sacrifice the past to create a different present.
She's just being selfish. Yes, the cast is incredible. The mom was really good. What's her name? The actress, if anybody knows off the top of their head.
Dolly Parton.
Yes, she was fantastic. Javier Bardem was fantastic. He's getting the meme treatment. All of the social media, the memes and jokes going on, I'm here for all of them. They crack me up. I'm loving it. I'm loving the meme dialogue and the humor discourse around this movie. Austin Butler, who looks like Bill Skarsgård.
Skarsgård?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I really thought it was Bill Skarsgård the whole time until I looked up. I was like, wasn't Austin Butler supposed to be in this
Rebecca
movie?
Ferguson.
Yes,
Rebecca. That was the name you were looking for.
She was fantastic as the Bene Gesserit mom.
Yeah, Bene Gesserit.
Bene Gesserit. His 5 titles get a little confusing with the Paul Atreides, the Duke of Arrakis, the Muad'Dib, the Lisan al-Gaib, the whatever the hell else he calls himself, the freaking what is it? The Cuisinart Cadillac or something.
You're talking about the little mouse name that he has?
Yeah, that one too.
The tiny desert mouse name?
Yeah, he's got like 20 names that he goes by and they just kind of rotate calling them him. And you're like, wait, is he also that guy? It gets a little confusing at times. It has an all-time great sci-fi climactic scene. I thought it was fantastic.
That's a new term you just invented. Sci-fi climactic.
Sci-fi
Sci-fi climactic.
Because there's a difference between like just like a real life, like a Troy climactic type scene, or
Sounds
like
you just want a climax, but
a war climax scene, but like a sci-fi one, it has to run a little differently and be respected in its own right, because sometimes it can be a little over the top. Just saying. But I also give this a popcorn and 3.
Okay, what was the scene you were referring to? Out of curiosity.
The climactic scene, the
Zendaya
one
sex
with
scene.
yes,
No, she was with Timothy. She definitely didn't climax. Go ahead.
their big battle plan coming through at the end with the worms and the and there it's kind of a multifaceted climax, but also just the scrawny man battle was good. There were 2 scrawny men, but it was a dramatic, well choreographed scene. It went on pretty long, but not too long. It was good.
I like that they kept Timothy in all of his wardrobe, because he's scrawnier than Austin Butler, and Austin Butler was looking scrawny. Like, you got to keep him in full garb here, because you can't just have skin and bones like just banging against each other. Like,
Yeah,
that can't
Hollywood,
happen.
bring back Beef Boys. Bring back Beef Boys. BBBB.
I'm sorry. I'm like, if I'm one of the soldiers standing behind him, like, wait, my fate is in this dude's hand right now. Like, that's what's happening. This is who we're relying on as a nation.
Let me get him. Hold on, dude.
They're like,
let me
yo,
get him.
put Brolin in.
Yeah, put Brolin in. Yes.
I'll do it myself.
We all had quite a bit to watch. So I watched The Royal Tenenbaums and it's a Wes Anderson. I just had to watch it to make Josh just cream himself because he loves Wes Anderson so much. It's not a super. It's actually not super long. Also, is why I was watching it, and I was in the middle of doing something, and I remembered like how funny it was, but I didn't remember how funny it was. It's actually funnier than I remembered.
Yeah.
Okay, I remembered it being funny, but then I rewatched it. I was like, this movie's hilarious.
It gets better every time you watch it.
Yes. Sorry about your mother. Thank you. She was a very attractive woman. Like, that's his eulogy to her. And then one last quote to Gwyneth Paltrow is, how long have you been a smoker? 22 years. Well, I think you should stop. Like, it's just a lot of really funny, like, one-liners there. It does have a dead dog deduction here. R.I.P. Buckley.
Stop killing dogs.
But I will say that character by Ben Stiller's played so perfectly. And you forget the chemistry that Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson actually have. They have phenomenal chemistry. They're so good together. And Luke Wilson and his brother was great as well. It was just a really funny movie, playing with a lot of different themes. It is a pop 2, only because of the dead dog deduction. Then I watched Flaming Hot, a movie that has been raved about by my ladies that comes on here sometimes. Yeah,
I watched it too. It's fantastic.
Josh and Jordan all raved about this movie. It was very good. Tearjerker, got me at the end for sure. It definitely is the perseverance of the American dream, and we keep getting away from stories like this with just we forget that we can make things profitable that are appealing to everyone and not just focus on how can we continue to be profitable. Like, go back to the first part of that is make it appealing to everyone. Stop just focusing on profit and figure out how do we get to that profit, not just let's just keep buying more of our shares and doing, stock buybacks like Boeing keeps doing where the airplanes are breaking all over the universe.
Yeah.
Let's actually focus on putting out quality products and understand, hey, that's going to make lots of money. Putting out quality products, appealing to huge demographics, understanding huge demographics as opposed to marginalizing them. Lots of stuff going on here, and a lot of don't judge a book by its cover. It was a pop 3. It was a very good movie. Meg 2. It's definitely a popcorn movie. Terrible CGI, terrible dialogue, terrible acting, terrible villains. But you know what? It all comes together just right in what you're expecting out of this movie. Like, it is a comedy of errors, and you are laughing through the entire film. Just everything that happens is, why would that happen? And you're just laughing through the entire film. Why is there a 12-year-old girl in the Mariana Trench? Like, what sense does that make with terrible CGI? How is that possible? How do you do that? It's the one goal of the movie is to have CGI, and you did it bad. It's a popcorn. It's Jason Statham punching a shark in the nose. I also watched Deadpool 2. I wanted to watch it in preparation for Deadpool 3 coming out here this summer. It is definitely going to be one of those sequels opposite of DUNE 2 that's forgotten about. Because you can see if you watch the trailer for Deadpool 3, they kind of just jump right past Deadpool 2. They're kind of like, let's just get past none of the characters. None of the characters from Deadpool 2 are brought into the trailer so far. Have you seen any of them?
It's a multiverse of just all kinds of X-Men and different characters.
It will be a multiverse film.
There's a lot from the second one. Shatterstar's back in it for some reason. Like, a lot of the characters. Anyway, go on.
Well, because remember, they're in a time universe where some of the stuff, they didn't die. So you see that because the time whatever, Bureau of Time, Kang, that whole storyline that's canceled.
King Kong Fu.
The Time Lords. But overall, I give that one a popcorn 1. It could have been significantly better. They had a chance to really strike while the iron was hot, and I don't think Deadpool 2 did that. I think Deadpool 1 still reigns supreme as far as the Deadpool movies are concerned. So I also watched Dune 1, like Jordan did. Lots and lots of dialogue, beautiful scenery. It was well deserving of a lot of the rewards or the awards it got during the Oscars, but it is boring. It's boring. It's story. The thing that made me laugh is during the scene with Duke Atreides, where he is naked for whatever reason. I don't know why he's naked in that scene, why they stripped him down, but he's naked and he's drugged with the poison arrow, or the poison dart, and he's sitting in the chair. And I think back to Oscar Isaac's interview about that scene. He goes, "Yeah, I definitely required some fluffers." I still think that's funny. I like Oscar Isaac a whole lot. I think it would have been better if we could have seen him do more in Dune 1 as Duke Atreides. But I guess the Jason Momoa scene's pretty great when it comes to the battles. Outside of those scenes, Josh Brolin going crazy when they get attacked by the Harkonnen. It's just a movie that's set up. It's all set up. It's just set up. Not a ton of action, just very like sprinkle action. So I give that one a pop 1, but Dune 2 pop 3. Jordan, what about you?
Yeah, it's quite the world that you are just bombarded with very, very quickly. Like just these terms and the way, you know, their technology and the worlds, and there's just so much that you're trying to grasp, and you can't help but scale this with Star Wars as you're watching it. You can't help it. You can't help but compare every aspect of it to Star Wars, to the Star Wars universe. So if you are a diehard, it's kind of hard for you to be like, no, this is its own separate thing. Like, I need to judge this fairly. So I didn't have that in mind the first watch of this, and I didn't like this movie really at all the first watch. The second watch, I found some appreciation in it with the anticipation of part 2 coming out. So I think it will be watched a little bit more by people, because a lot of people that I talk to still are like, I didn't watch that. I don't know anything about it. I'm not really that interested. I think people will come around and it'll get a little more appreciation if you watch the second one concurrently. The Salamander, he is such a mopey little stiletto high heel in this movie. He's just, yeah. That's his aura. The names, that's another thing that's really just hard to wrap your mind around in this. The names of characters, you know, Paul, Duncan, Idaho. Apparently there's bulls in the space planet, and people bullfight because he says his grandfather fought bulls. There's bagpipes. Of all instruments to export to an alien planet, you choose bagpipes.
That's funny.
Why?
Well, I mean, doesn't
the mom
Mad
just
Max
always
have
looking
like
shiesty.
electric guitars? So
Yeah,
like,
and that's
well, that makes more sense.
Yes, yeah, that's awesome. The mom's just always looking shiesty. How could nobody tell that she had some baggage that just, you know, I guess people were just letting her rock with it for a really long time. Yeah. Everyone pretended to be shocked when she was up to a bunch of crap. I love her line though. I love that line every time it's delivered. It just, God, it makes me feel intense. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the small death that leads to obliteration. Every time that line is given, I get the willies. I'm like, woo!
That's cool. That's cool.
This is
Fear
a
is the
popcorn
mind
one.
killer.
Yeah.
I would like to just briefly point out, I haven't seen it. I need to see both of them. But you're talking about comparing it to Star Wars. Just in case everyone doesn't know, Dune is the sci-fi story. Like it was pretty much first. Not the first sci-fi, because that's Frankenstein. But pretty much grandiose sci-fi movie.
Yeah. The book inspired Star Wars.
It's Mary Shelley.
It is. It's known as the first science fiction story. But anyway, look it up,
sure
dude.
It's the first. I love that, like, we learned something in school. We just, like, I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's just funny because, like, there's thousands of years before Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein to say, like, it's the first ever sci-fi. Literally, there were cave paintings about ancient aliens, and you think
wait. A woman wrote Frankenstein? I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Talking about
women are very capable of writing.
Talking about modern
literature.
Fiction here. I'm just telling you about modern fiction.
I had a professor that
Frankenstein.
Shelley.
Frankenstein is regarded as perhaps the first modern sci-fi. But aside from that, now if we're going into like Tolkien-esque levels of world building, Dune is known as it. So a lot of people say that Star Wars in general kind of copied Dune. I don't know how because I haven't seen Dune, but the Chosen One, Sand Planet, all this stuff, blah blah blah. So that's it.
Don't watch the original. Don't watch
Actually,
the original Dune.
Actually, in reading,
Just
reading and listening to the dialogue, Josh, it actually feels like George A. ripped off Dune for Game of Thrones, because like the 12
stuff.
houses, the 12 houses are in Dune, and they said, and I'm like, look, I'm never gonna read Dune. Let me be very clear, I'm never.
Not happening.
It's not gonna happen.
No.
But I'm interested. Like, tell me about the 12 houses. Do you have a Spark Notes version?
I'll read the Spark Notes for sure.
Yeah. I'll watch the 45-minute how-to on YouTube.
Yeah, give me that. Like, hey, other YouTubers out there, like, fill me in, because I'm interested, but I'm not reading that book, at all.
No.
Way back when, in 1500, when Mary Shelley invented science fiction. Sorry.
The mother of literature. All right, so I watched a nice little, I'm going to call these the anti-sports movie, little gem. It was called Next Goal Wins on Hulu. It is a Taika Waititi movie. And he just wanted to bring the culture to us and really show how wonderful, the people of, Tonga, American Samoa, all that. They make a point to pronounce it very properly throughout the movie, so I wanted to give it that same respect. This is also starring Michael Fassbender, who is really good in this role as the white man, the grumpy kind of, I need to learn to loosen up and hang loose and be more like, get this island culture going, the love, the gentleness, the kindness, the appreciation for nature, all those things. Will Arnett is also in this. He's funny. Elizabeth Moss. So there are some faces, but also just a lot of newcomers, and everyone brings their own thing to this. It's kind of cookie cutter in that anti-sports movie subgenre that there is in most sense, but it does have its creative, unique moments. It's silly. It's got a lot of heart. There is a trans character in this, and the outlook and the way that is dealt with throughout this movie is fantastic. Should be shown to Congress. It is fantastic.
Wow.
There's a dog metaphor in this that's really good. That I just wrote. I just wrote dog metaphor, and I didn't write what that is. And I watched this movie at the beginning of this week, so I don't remember what it is. But look out for that dog metaphor. It really stuck with me, and you'll like it.
You.
Yeah. This movie was a popcorn and one, but it was a delightful popcorn and one. Definitely watch it. It's on Hulu. So Thanksgiving. This is definitely the one that I wrote the most on. So let me just fly through this because it's not important, because this was a terrible movie. It's a popcorn. It was on Netflix, but I just had a lot of feelings about it. It's a teen horror comedy. The beginning, actually the whole movie, it satirizes the gross absurdity of Black Friday is really the theme of this movie.
Oh.
And it's actually a terrifying and would have been a pretty genius concept in itself if the movie ended right there in the opening scene. Would have been a great short film.
A great short film.
Yeah, it would have been a great short film, and it would have been terrifying and funny and all these different things. There's just constantly throughout the movie, which is funny, and it's just very tongue-in-cheek. They're referencing to being hunted down by this killer, and it's like, if we better figure out who it is, or we're all going to end up 50% off. Just kind of jokes like that. Yeah.
That's
We're going to end up
stupid.
half off, too. Yeah.
Please tell me that character died.
I think so, yeah. For sure.
Well,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
everybody
That's
knows.
what you get.
I mean, it's, they build up this...
50% off.
Yeah. So the Black Friday thing was smart, but then they have to build up this revenge slasher narrative around it. So it's so funny, stupid kind of thing. The killer he gets the points for this. He feeds and pets. He kills a guy, and there's an animal there, and you're like, oh no, please don't kill the cat, because we don't like killing dogs or cats, people. That is also point deduction in my camp. Don't kill a cat. But the killer actually stops and feeds and pets the guy's cat after he kills him, and that is a good killer.
Does he feed the cat the guy?
No. He pours him some kibble, you know.
I
like
will finger.
Yeah, he's. I wouldn't watch this ever again. No, I actually said I wouldn't never watch this again, because it's just so stupid entertaining that if you're just with the right crowd that also likes this genre, you won't be disappointed that you gave this a shot. Like, if you just like that gory, dumb teen slasher, you really might like this a little bit. It's very gory, and it just has an all-time horrible epilogue sequence that didn't need to happen. Like most of this movie didn't need to happen. Popcorn.
All
right.
Spaceman, Netflix. We get a serious Sandler and a very cerebral sci-fi effects laden, just weird journey that you go on. I don't know how to describe this movie.
That was it. You did
why does everyone have an accent but him? People have other accents, like there's British, and there are people from obviously other European nations. I think his character is supposed to be, Czech, and he has no accent at all. I think he tries in a couple scenes, and it just is not there. You get the Spider Riddler. It's just funny because there's a spider who's played by Paul Dano, and he's just the Riddler, but he's a spider.
That's funny.
Yeah. He's only been gone for 6 months, but his wife and his life just completely fall apart. And I'm like, come on, the guy's been gone for 6 months. Like, yeah, maybe he was a kind of not the best husband, but she acts like he's been gone for years.
Well, technically he was, if you add it all up. That's the whole idea.
Okay.
He was never
with
there.
the training and whatnot. All right.
I won't side with Zendaya, and I will not side with the spaceman's wife. Team boys. Boys rule and girls drool.
I'm going to spoil this a little bit because I thought this was a really bad movie. It's a popcorn. I thought this was a bad movie. You don't need to watch it. When the spider ultimately dies, nightmares. That was
nightmares.
Horrifying. The spider itself is nightmares, but when it dies and the process in which it dies is just, like skin crawling, literally.
Oh my God.
Disgusting, horrible. And this movie just wants to remind you that one does not always watch a movie simply for entertainment. If you're looking to be entertained, this isn't going to be your movie, because it's not entertaining. It just wants to make you think. Just think. That's all it is. And I thought that I was bored, and I did not sign up for this, is what I thought. Popcorn.
Wow. Yeah. Well. Okay, that's apt. The way you described the movie, weird journey, surreal, whatever, and then the way you ended it with, sometimes you don't watch a movie to be entertained. That's true, man. I mean, you get Adam Sandler in a punch-drunk, lovey level of serious role. I thought he played his character very well. He didn't have a lot of room to stretch because he wasn't that type of role, but it was in very small ways, and he hit those small ways really well. I loved the setting, like it's a independent spaceship organization in the Czech Republic in the distant, near not too far future. And every time he used the product, he had to say a catchphrase because he's being monitored by the world, like sponsors, And
I love that the Czech Republic, they developed this space program and this thing that's all this technology. But then their way that he has to communicate with his wife is this giant room-sized box that she has to get in to communicate with him.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
There was a lot of things. Yeah, a lot of it seemed like intentionally older, or at least just very European design, not necessarily old. Clearly Eastern Bloc levels of design. Anyway, the setting was cool. Adam Sandler did well. What's her face? Carrie.
Mulligan?
Is it Carey Mulligan? Yeah, that's Carey Mulligan. Yeah,
She was great in this.
yeah.
It's a strange role, very strange movie. It was just a movie that makes you think. So I wasn't mad that I watched it. I call it a popcorn and one, but I know that most people that watch it won't like it.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever. I love the elements, the surreal elements they added to it. It's in the same way Punch Drunk Love was like, what was that I just watched? Same kind of movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did like the way it dealt with coming to terms with yourself and knowing what you've done wrong. And there's a big emotional journey throughout. It's a lot to explain because I don't know. But yeah.
The discourse around this movie was so disappointed and confused, like people on the internet, because I had to, of course, go and see what people are saying about this movie, that Netflix actually sent me a newsletter explicitly trying to explain the themes and the ending of this movie. I'm not kidding you.
Wow.
Yes, I got a newsletter email from Netflix. I don't know. I didn't sign up for it.
That's like wild.
This is why they raise the costs every month, I guess, is so that they can start developing a newsletter.
Yeah, they're doing telegrams next week.
Yes.
This dude's on Reddit, and we need to get to him before he gets to Reddit.
Yeah, we clearly have gravitas because they wanted to get to us and our media platform to explain this to people. Yeah. And I'm not going to do them that justice. Keep sending out those newsletters.
I call it a popcorn and beer, but it was a weird movie. It was supremely weird. But it had very beautiful elements. And then also nightmare fuel. So cool. Check that out. What else? Real quickly, I watched Multiverse, Doctor Strange Multiverse again. The second time around, it's better to watch because your expectations are where they're supposed to be. Good movie, very pretty. Yeah. I'm not mad about it. Sam Raimi, I guess you can keep making movies. I'm not sure why I like you so much, but I do.
That movie's super Sam Raimi, though. Multiverse is super Sam Raimi. Like
super Sam Raimi. Like you thought it was Spider-Man 2 with Sam Raimi? Nah, dog. Anyway, I call that a popcorn one. It was a fun superhero movie. Then I watched, in honor of her passing, I'm sorry I don't know her name again, the documentary, again, I watched and reviewed on this show, Iris. It's on Netflix. It's a beautiful documentary about a fashion icon. And she recently passed at the age of 102. She became a supermodel at like age 80. She was in all the magazines. She is a fashion icon. She was discovered. Someone found her, saw her closet, and they're like, "Let me show that." So they just pulled everything out of her closet, put it in a museum for a week. That's how just casual. What's in her closet was an art exhibit. Anyway, watch that movie.
Iris
it's worth
Apfel.
watching. Yeah,
Iris Apfel.
Truly a great documentary, an incredible person. You will not regret getting to know her. So RIP, good show. Popcorn and 2. What else do I got? I think that's about it as far as stuff I watched.
Yeah, on to our drunk classics, Josh. Why don't you were pretty excited to watch Life. Yeah. So why don't you lead us off, even though that was my drunk classic, why don't you lead us off with Life?
Sure. It was very cool and strange timing because when you announced it that next weekend, the weekend that I watched it, one of my oldest friends ever came to visit. Like we were friends since first grade, and he came to visit. Mm-hmm. Haven't seen him in years, and then we watched Life together, and that was the last movie we watched together. Like last time I was like hanging out with him, years and years back.
Let me tell you, before the context, you said my best friend came and we watched Life together, and that was the last movie we watched together. And I was like, what happened to him?
Yeah. We watched it in theaters way back when, and then we split our ways and moved over here. He moved over there, and then now it just happens to be back the weekend. I have to watch Life, so that was really cool to watch it. But anyway, Popcorn and 3 movie. This is the quintessential timeless film.
Yeah, anyone
can appreciate it. The comedy. Sounds great to me. Everything about it. I mean, it's wonderful. Great. I think both of their best performances, Eddie Murphy and Martin Short. Martin Lawrence.
That'd be a good movie.
What are we? That would be whites only pies.
You can't have my cornbread. Nanny. Yeah. Anyway, I can't stop talking about this movie, but I'm gonna, for the sake of time, every line delivered is perfectly done. Every actor in it is perfect for the role. I'm not sure I'd go all the way to perfect film, but it's definitely a popcorn and 3 film, and it will last throughout the years as top 500 of all time best movies.
Yeah. I think a kind of, raunchy type humor and kind of slapsticky comedy like this, like not an artsy comedy, has a hard time cracking that pop 3. But if you're ever going to give that kind of humor movie, this is a pop 3 comedy. It's very historically accurate and got all the, the themes and all that, this is just how they legalized slavery after slavery was banned. This is how they did it in the South. The cornbread scene is just, oh my God, Bernie
iconic.
Mac. R.I.P. to Bernie Mac, man. Just a vortex of just hilariousness. The one thing that I did kind of go eye roll was the R&B blues montage of the years and time passing. Was just like no, the Boom Boom Room thing was funny where they're all daydreaming that and all that, but it's just when the screen literally goes blue and they're kind of going through. I was like, oh God, really? Come on, let's hurry up. Popcorn and 3 though, nonetheless, Popcorn and 3, and I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, it's the love story of Ray and Claude, right? At the end of the day, and there are so many meaningful themes here that I think are
than a
still,
few. Yeah.
100% that are still relevant today, sadly, and they shouldn't be. And it's a look back, like, yo, they go out of their way to let you know they were imprisoned before World War II, okay? And they stayed in prison all the way through these times into, what would be the 90s for something they didn't do, so that a white police officer could get away with it. And there's a scene at the end when they're transferred to the warden's house, and the warden is talking to Claude, and he goes, 40 years is a mighty long time to do for any crime, even if it's murder. And Claude states, yeah, especially if you're innocent. And the warden goes, out of everyone I've talked to, I've never had an inmate say that they were guilty. It's funny, isn't it? And Claude goes, you'll forgive me if I don't laugh. Because he truly was innocent, and there are so many cases like that where they're truly innocent and they won't be heard from and they won't be talked to. But aside from all the depressing themes, the whites only pie scene, I forgot how funny that scene actually is, with both Eddie Murphy trying to de-escalate the situation and Claude being determined to get his pie and his coffee. And he goes, Billy, how about you get me 2 slices of pie and a couple cups of coffee? And he goes, how'd you know my name was Billy? And he goes, are you sure? Since you read so well, how
since
can
you can read.
So there's a lot going on. Obviously, Claude he wants to be considered a great guy, but he's not the greatest guy ever. And you see that right away at the party where he cheats on his fiance, or what would be his fiance, right away for $2. And she's a good God-feared woman, Ray. And their little rivalry, and then of course the when they come back together is a beautiful scene when they're standing on the bottles. And he goes, "Oh no, what happened? One of my big toes slipped in the bottle." I can only imagine that, and them telling the young folks in the infirmary how drugs get snuck into prison.
Ass sniffle.
So for me, also a pop 3. I'm really glad we watched it. And I'm just going to say to everybody on Rotten Tomatoes that gave this film a 57%, you don't understand struggle. You don't understand what it's like.
You don't get it, dude.
Have to survive. You don't understand how real this story is to so many people.
It's so real. And it goes beyond, it goes beyond the multiple levels of the race relations and racism in general and the jail system. But it's also, deep things like acceptance of your fate and making the best of every day, as opposed to living in the past and just being a grumpus. And friendship, long-term friendships, being stuck with someone, being stuck somewhere. All these things are they interplay, and you can separate one and write a whole book, but they're all together.
Yeah, and
even
even with like the Shawshank thing, like the Joanna Man character, the guy who plays
Yeah.
Joanna Man, choosing death by cop, suicide by cop, instead of
rather
going
than
home
go
because
home to his mother as a gay
doesn't.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
but
lot. There's a lot.
yeah, and humanity. You get a little bit of humanity because though the
Oh yeah.
warden, not the warden, the head guard of the prison of their group, when he's releasing them, the old white man, even as he's releasing them, and he goes, "Every day I pray that both Claude and Ray have died of natural causes in their sleep, and every day you disappoint me when you walk out of those doors." And then he tells them they've been transferred. He says, "I'm not gonna miss you." But he doesn't have to say he's going to miss them because you could see it on his face.
Yeah.
Like the emotion, it doesn't have to be spoken. And I felt like that actor did a great job of conveying like humanity in that scene. Like he had developed a relationship with them over the years. So
he's
good
the last
very
man
much.
standing in that prison. He's
Yeah.
still going to be there.
Yep. All right. So Josh brought us Clue, Jordan. So what did you think of Clue?
This is my first time watching this. I think I've seen like a couple scenes of it here and there. Let me just say, the board game Clue is a logistic nightmare. And it's just never, nobody's like, oh, let's break out Clue in a big party setting. And it's just too much. Colonel Mustard is an objectively funny name. Just, you can call someone, you're like, okay, Colonel Mustard, and it's funny.
No context.
No context. And I think you'll get a laugh every time.
That's funny.
Yeah. Tim Curry is an underappreciated talent.
Yeah.
This is
Old
him.
Home
This
Alone
whole movie
Curry.
is him. The whole movie is Tim Curry, I think.
He'll be back.
He reeled me in big time, and when I was kind of losing interest, Tim Curry would start doing some funny antics, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm back. What's wrong with Mr. Body's face? Well, the guy that you believe to be Mr. Body. That guy is so weird looking.
What was that?
Yeah.
Like a sweaty doll.
He's a strange looking man. It comes off very high school play ish.
Yeah.
Like there's this kind of running around. Like it's a lot of fun that it looks like they're having on set. And it kind of seems like it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? Just in the moment, like made up. It's very, that word. They have a lot of good chemistry. All the actors and actresses. I like how they split them up. And then they regroup them and do this and that, and how they kind of play with those dynamics. That was done pretty well. The ending was good enough. It was okay. Exactly.
Socialism?
And then it derailed so hard, and I was just like, "Wow, can this movie just end? What's happening?" But I do give it a popcorn in one.
Okay.
Okay. Popcorn in one. I'm saying this movie is very Scooby-Doo. Like, Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, I
Where
like
are
that.
you? We are watching Clue now. But that's really what
I
it
love
was. The whole movie. And yeah, Tim Curry's the best part of the movie. Christopher Lloyd is so hard to believe as the adulterer. It's just hard to suspend disbelief. Like, okay, Christopher Lloyd, Playboy, but it was funny. You're right. Curry carries the film. The police officer is funny. This man has partied himself to sleep. He's in a drunken stupor. Yes, he is. The gold digger lady, when she's making out with the corpse to trick the cop. I was like, that's disgusting. That's really gross. Overall, it was a funny movie, Josh. You were right. It did make me laugh. Like there were a couple scenes where I chuckled audibly. It's definitely a popcorn one. I hadn't seen it before. Bits and pieces, definitely clips, but never seen it all the way through. I'm gonna give it a pop one. Lots of themes there, but lots of like socialism stuff going on. And it was made in 1985, so that means the Berlin Wall still hadn't fallen yet. So there's like some propaganda going on here.
It's a red herring.
Well, it was taking place kind of in the 50s is the idea, and the Red Scare was happening. So like, she was friends with communists, and everyone's
I got that, but I'm also saying it was made in 1985, and there was similar issues with the Berlin Wall, East and West Germany.
For sure, those propagandas. Yeah. So popcorn one, that's nice. I go probably popcorn one. I remember this movie as a kid, and I like to see it again. I was surprised with kind of the many places where it dragged. Like, they're sipping soup for like 3 minutes in silence. Like, I understand that was supposed to be a joke, but the timing wasn't quite there. And that's just maybe a mistranslation in the time of, you know, it was filmed back then, not today, that kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe if I was going to take all the footage of this movie and edit it myself, it would end up being like a 45-minute movie. Yeah, I still liked it. When it was funny, it was funny. Like, who are you? I'm the butler, sir. What is it that you do? I bottle. That made me laugh so loud. And then, like, you go first, ladies first. No, I insist you go first. And he says, all right, I'll go. And they just stare up the stairs for, like, there's so many funny little parts. I love the end where Tim Curry's
first joke, too. The first joke where he's like, are they here or are they not here? No. No to which.
There was a lot of that, and like you say, it's like stage play. I mean, that's the kind of humor it is, too. It's all stage play, jerky motions, quick dialogue, long pauses, staring, loud. I love the woman with flames, the side of my head. That was an improvised speech. I think the movie is watchable by anyone. Maybe some kids today would think it's boring as hell. Probably. Like, you probably have to be a grown-up to appreciate the humor. Little trivia, in the theaters when it was first released, it didn't show all 3 endings. It was just random. Random theaters got 1 ending. So when you got around the water cooler in the next day, like, oh, you got to do it. So everyone's talking about the different endings and arguing about it, which is pretty cool. Siskel and Ebert said that was a really stupid gimmick and they hated the movie, but whatever. I thought it was a good adaptation. Maybe one of the best adaptations of a game, toy situation, video game, whatever. Because like they had every element.
Barbie. Yeah.
I mean, of course, Barbie, but like they had every character. They had the exact idea of the whodunit thing. They had all the weapon props. They had the secret doors. They went from room to room. You know, that was fun.
You've never seen Transformers.
This was good. It's a fun, like, Broadway play type of show. You know,
it was funny. It was funny. I liked it. It was a good watch. I'm glad you recommended it as your drunk classic or picked it as your drunk classic. And now it's Jordan's turn to throw a drunk classic our way.
Are we doing that now? Is that happening? All right. So my pick is an ode to the place I live. Takes place in the Bay Area in Oakland, California.
Oh my God. I already know what it's going to be.
And it's a hip opera.
Oh, maybe not.
It is a hip opera. It is not a rap movie. The story is largely told, and a lot of the conflict is told through rapping. It stars Daveed Diggs, and it is called Blind Spotting.
I will watch that. I've never heard of it. Great.
Yes, it spawned an HBO show. It spawned an HBO show that nobody watched. I didn't watch it myself, but the movie is fantastic.
Okay, Blind Spotting, the movie.
Blind Spotting. And of course, our butter on top this week is another freebie for all of you that have been paying to watch our Drunk Classics with us. We're going to go ahead and watch Damsel, starring Millie Bobby Brown in her new Netflix film. Man, that deal for her is lucrative, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Enola Holmes 1, Enola Holmes 2, Stranger Things 1, 2, 3, 4, half of the end of season 4, and then the next half of season 4 comes in 4 years. Like, she got herself a little, like, job there.
Yeah, but she got herself a job, like a Harry Potter level almost of finances before she's 30. I'm told in this movie coming up, Damsel, she did most of her own stunts, if not all, so that's cool. I don't know.
Yeah, good for her.
All right, it should be fun. Well, everybody, we appreciate you joining us each and every week. As always, we will see you at the movies. You bring the popcorn, and we got the beer.
Mm-hmm.